After 22 years of being a titan on Wall Street and starting his own firm, Tony Kasai is walking away to shed the ugly side of being on the inside.
Hey guys, Tony Kasai. I know I always say this, but man, I am freaking excited to be here today. Today is September 13. This is episode, I don't even know what, because this one's going to go into production a little bit faster. We're going to push everybody aside. This is my brother's launch day for the book, Align Your Empire.
I'm excited. It's definitely very surreal to be sitting here and on the launch day and seeing the Amazon notifications and everybody. It was like viral this morning. It was,
man, I literally am getting goosebumps. Yeah. I cannot. I mean, obviously we have a friendship, we have a bond. You've introduced us to so many people, opened up so many doors, sure. But this was so last minute, guys, and I'm going to be frankly honest with you. There may be some fucking awkward moments, but that's what's going to make this shit magic, right? We are at the forefront of some new technology, of some new mindset material. For those of you that don't know, first of all, Burton Hughes is the author of Align Your Empire. It came out today. It's available on Kindle. It's available on Amazon. It's available on any freaking platform you could find it on.
Audible's coming out in 2 weeks. Hardcovers, regular paperback, and hardcovers, a ship or whatever fulfillment is on the 21st. So kind of
it's going to rattle it out. If you can consume the content, it'll be there for you. Most importantly, guys, and you know, I made a comment about this with some of our inner circle friends. There's plenty of authors out there. There's plenty of people that come out and say, hey, I just want to write a book because I want to say I'm an author. To me, this is a validation of something that I want to show people. You don't just judge somebody by the cover. Obviously, Burton's a very attractive gentleman, right? He drives some very fancy cars. And a very short thing, you know, I was guilty of that, man. I would look at somebody back when I had a scarcity mindset, and I'd see somebody driving a $300,000 car. I'm like, what an idiot. You know, that's a depreciating asset.
Yeah.
What do you do with your cars, Burton?
I leverage them, and I make money with them. And I drive cool cars. I just found a way that, like, my childhood dream was always to have cool cars. And everyone told me that it was unattainable and I couldn't do it. It was a depreciating asset, but I flipped it on its head and I used it to network, which I write about in my books. And I've met some really cool people, oddly enough, how I came to know you through cars. So it's just one of those things that, you know, a childhood dream became a reality, and now I leverage it to grow my business and help grow my influence and make money while doing it, which I think is a home run. So.
And you know, you touched on it briefly, and I want to dig in a little bit deeper about the book and how we got to meet Dean Gray here. You know, this was, again, and I hate to make it sound cheesy, guys, but the book is called Align Your Empire. It's about having an alignment in life and finding your alignment before you find your assignment, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely it. I think the book really just goes after the work-life balance. I think there's a lot of people out there that are super frustrated and they don't know why, because they haven't clarified like what they want. One of the things that I ask people is like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? And people are like, they don't know what they want, but they're frustrated. They're unhappily married. They're frustrated with their work, their job. They don't feel fulfilled. Well, why is that? Because they're constantly playing tug of war with everything. So I clearly identified 6 different areas of your life: mindset, faith, family, fitness, finance, and network. Work-life balance is a myth. How I look at it is if you're trying to grow your business and you're, you know, looking at the other areas of your life, you're going to have to pull from other areas, you know, to feed the business, which, you know, you're constantly trying to, you know, to balance. So I said, why does it have to be or? Why can't it be and? Why can't we focus on mindset, your fitness? Because like I was talking about the networking, when I'm networking, I'm growing my business. I'm also then closing deals. It all happens synergistically together. So if you can get all these 6 areas that I've identified and point them in the right direction, kind of like in alignment, even like a car. If you get everything pointed in the right direction, synergistically, there's a rhythm. There's something that happens.
The vibrations, the energy, something in the universe
like
just rolls together.
Once I clearly identified that I was free and unencumbered, the anxiety and the stresses that I have of just daily life, it just lifted, and I was able to move. It's everything is optimized. That's how I feel. So I just feel really free and unencumbered, and then the alignments, and then you meeting people, and then things that I thought were chance meetings, I don't think they were. I think everything was truly aligned, and when you get the right people together at the right place, the right things happen. And I think that's where I'm at in life.
You hit on something there real important early, was that work-life balance. That's a question that comes up from people who haven't aligned their empire, because work to them is what they do.
Yeah.
For you, once you've lined it up and people have gone through the proper assessment process, work is who they are.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference. They're like, why do you work so hard? What you and I hear is, why do you focus on your dreams so hard? There's a big difference there. It's not work anymore.
It's not work. It's literally
exactly.
who I am. And
Exactly.
I don't feel like it's a duty. Like, I'm actually happy to go and do these things because it's what I want to do.
Because it's aligned.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and all of this could just be lip service. That's okay, it sounds great. But how crazy it is that right now at this table, I'm going to show you here in the next few minutes how that alignment, literally in the past 6 months, 12 months in our lives, has materialized, right? Mm-hmm. You and I met approximately 2 years ago.
Correct.
At that time, by the time everybody hears this podcast, they would have listened to earlier episodes and they know the dark shit that I went through. They know the soul searching and the alignment, where my alignment, I'd hit a freaking pothole, right? Like, there was no alignment. And the ecosystem that I plugged myself into, all of a sudden things started going well. The first time I met you, there was just this brotherly bond, and man, we just connected. Yeah. You were kind of searching for what your purpose was. You were making good money, but it was kind of like the direction was off. I have a photo, and I posted it. On September 11 last year, he told me he's going to write a book. He named it. It was done and was going to publishing. I made a post. Congratulations, Burton, on your book. That was a year ago, right? Both of us were still not really unsure of how it was going to do. Is it just going to be a book? Is it just going to be a book that sits on a shelf? We had no idea you existed. We had no idea your technology and your company existed. He comes to me and he says, I don't want to just write a book. You know, I want it to have a bigger purpose. This isn't just something that I want somebody to read. Fast forward about a year later, our relationships have bonded. Mm-hmm. We have another coach with us, another gentleman called Jeff Ducharme, who he approaches Jeff and I and says, hey guys, I need help because I'm really about to blow up this personal brand, this vision, et cetera, et cetera. He retains our services to basically protect him because Burton's really, really good at what he knows and he's confident, and the stuff that he doesn't know about, he's confident enough to ask for help. And that alone is the reason that I will agree to work with somebody. So, with that said, we take him on as a client, and I swear to God, shit you not, 6 days later, he says, guys, can you get on a plane? Because some guy from one of my exotic car clubs pitched me on maybe doing an app, blah, blah, blah. So we thought he was going to get sold. Mm-hmm. And he's just like every good salesman. We get sold. Like, we'll buy anything, right? I'm an easy The best person to sell to is a salesperson. So he says, guys, I need help. So I get on the plane. Jeff gets on the plane. We get in on a meeting. We meet you. And man, guys, I tell you what, the rest is history. Because from that moment on, that's what I'm saying. Because his alignment was right. My alignment was right. Jeff's alignment was right. You and your company come into our life. We go into this meeting, in fact, in a building very similar to this, big conference room. They were nice enough to have a whole spread out. The whole C-suite was there.
Can I say one
second? Yeah, please do.
Funny thing is, Dean was like, yeah, I'll be there. And then he calls me the day of the meeting, and Jeff flew on one of his planes, and you were flying in, and I was like, Dean can't meet us. You guys are like, what? And you're like, I'll make it up. We'll figure it out. We'll call it. So we're all in a meeting. Dean's on the TV. You know what I mean? We can't really talk about where he was, but it was really cool. I don't know if you can. We'll talk about it. But the cool thing was it all worked out, but it was absolutely hilarious, and I just thought that was
He
fun.
Skypes in, and at first, to your point, and truthfully, both Jeff and I were like, fuck this guy. We're like, you know what? We got on a plane, and to your defense, he got on, and he was so gracious, and he apologized once. He gave the explanation. It was valid. By the third apology, both Jeff and I were like, man,
we're good.
It's cool. We're good. And from that point on, it was all cards were on the table. And we looked at it. We were looking at the presentation. All they were doing was showing Burton why him adopting their ecosystem would make sense for him. They weren't selling him anything. They were showing him what they were proposing. But then we saw their company structure, and we saw they had a friends and family investment opportunity. And both Jeff and I look at each other and we're like, holy shit, yes, we're on board for that. Oh, we want a piece of that, And now here we are. We contacted some of our friends and family. Immediately, we decided we wanted to become not just clients, but partners with you guys. Mm-hmm. And, the book, the vision that you had was, how do I make somebody read the book? But when they put it down, they still come back to that ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And this is a great segue. When you gave that presentation, cancel culture didn't exist 2 years ago, right? And if you don't mind, Dean, give us a quick background on how, who you are, how it started, and how we are here today.
Sure. Well, the reality is a lot of people know that this is happening with cancel culture. So just look at it like this. WordPress made websites easy for the world. But then after that, suddenly this social media monster took over and everybody started getting on social media. People didn't know if it was a trend or not. But the reality is most people realize they know it's here to stay. But as that started happening, social media got so big, we started getting shoved in these bubbles where the content was being created so much or curated so much that you didn't realize what you were reading wasn't what someone else was reading. The classic Social Dilemma for those of you who've seen the movie. So we all know that's happening. So we're getting thrown in bubbles, number one. Number two, the next big issue is we're rewarding the wrong things on social. Everyone's just getting, likes and comments for being super cute. So typically in social media, you're famous because you're a train wreck, you're super cute, or you scored a touchdown. So the reality is did you score a touchdown? Are you cute? Right? But those are temporary highs.
Right.
We found that the people who are following folks for long periods of time, over 6 months to a year, it's not because they want to follow you. It's because they want to become you. And suddenly, this whole wave of influencers on social media have become models, whether they realize they're not modeling certain behaviors, for long-term followers. And so people are looking, with all the chaos going on the last few years with elections and COVID, and no matter if you're left or right in your political views, just the whole world got kicked in the shins. Who the heck is navigating through all this chaos? There's a lot of people hurting. So they're going, look, are you successfully navigating this? Well, I don't know who to trust. I don't know what to trust, and I don't believe anything I read anymore. So I'm looking to follow a trust agent, someone like a Burton who's proving that as an emerging entrepreneur, he's getting things going, and in his fitness and in his health and in his spiritual life. So if that's the case, I want to follow you, and that's the big trend that's happening right now. And it's been tough. So like one of the reasons I couldn't make that meeting, as you guys know, is I was meeting with some of the most canceled people on planet Earth. And so that's what was the emergency meeting.
And something that you first told me that really resonated with me is you said, you've spoken on stages with Anthony Robbins, some of the biggest influential people on the planet. Mm-hmm. You've spoken in front of stadiums full of people. And you said I would inspire these people, and everybody was rah-rah, then they would go home. And how do they tap into your wisdom, your ecosystem, etc.?
Because the motivation's kind of temporary. So you're getting them jazzed up, but then Monday real life hits, they're back in the cubicle, and then where's your influence now?
Yeah, so everyone used to say, I wish we could bottle up this event, right? And the reality is you can't. So so for those that have been fortunate enough to, whether through sports, music, personal development, whatever it is, if you've been fortunate enough to create a following, you know what it's like to try to maintain, train, track, and reward people around the world. It's difficult. How do you give everybody your phone number without giving them your phone number? Number one. Okay? Right? Number two, as you just mentioned, we had to swallow the ugly pill that you're referring to called, we all claim to be in transformation. And what we realized is we were in information. We were doing these great events, whether it's a movie, a concert, or a book, or something where we raised your awareness on a topic. Well, raising awareness, I know, is not I am. And there's a massive gap between you've made me aware of something, now I need to go become that something. And that's where you need to have that continuity of thank you for raising my awareness with a book, with a concert, with an event. Now, where do I go follow up with that community where it's relevant to be accountable and get high-fived and liked? And that was the big gap.
And another thing that you mentioned that I thought was really cool was social media right now is so polarized. It's so negative.
Yeah.
Whether it's abortion, whether it's politics, whether it's GMO food, cloth diapers. I mean, hell, you get anxiety just thinking about having a kid these days.
And I think we all know this, but the algorithms are literally pointing the negative stuff at you.
Yeah.
So I talk about quite a bit. I say, look, when you wake up first thing in the morning, don't start scrolling to social media before your feet hit the floor. Yeah. We need to get some type of positive information in it because we talk about diets, we talk about healthy food, but what type of diet are you consuming on your mindset?
Yep.
Right. So I talk about what are you consuming, what information, what music are you listening to? Because believe it or not, the things that you're looking at that you think are mundane are actually subliminal. It's controlling you. And I think a lot of the stuff, like you said, you're seeing these influencers out there. They're showing all the highlight reels, but they're not showing the real life, right? Then you start looking at, and I don't try to steal your thunder, but That is the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like one thing that people have really resonated with me is like, yeah, I mean, I'll show you the cool, but I'm over here speaking on real stuff. Like,
You
what
talk
do
about
want?
depression. You
All
talk
of it.
about
I functioned
suicide.
depression, suicide, like all the things that you struggle. See, the thing is everyone's kind of the same. You know, whether you're right, left, like we all want the same things. You want to be happy, you want to be successful, you want to win. But the thing is like no one talks about the middle. You see like, oh, you see the beginning had some struggles, and then you see like the CEO, but no one talks about the middle. And that's where I'm trying to play, is I want to show the good, bad, the ugly, and actually speak on it and really bring people into that. And that's what I feel like I'm able to do. And I really feel like that's what with Align Your Empire comes back.
And the alignment between what Dean has created with his team at Skylab, with what you're doing, and in simple terminology, because you're so in it that you're so passionate about it. But what I'm trying to think of the things that really moved me, right? Most people know what WordPress is, right? It's a very simple way to create a website. Up until I met you, there was no way had I met with you just alone, and you have this great book and you have this great vision. If I wanted to go create an app for you, and I wanted you to own your own data and not sell it to Facebook and not sell it to Instagram, and if somebody like Icon Meals wants to now advertise with you without Facebook taking their cut and all that shit, and not getting canceled, we have no options other than spending at least $1 million to create my own app.
To look at it, I mean, I remember we were loosely talking about it. It would have been $1.2 million plus
to get it right,
to get it optimized, to do it professional. You can bootleg and do things like that, but to really to have the best quality, to make sense when people look at it, they know it's not like janky.
And guys, when I say control your own data, all this other stuff is great, but talk about, like, let's think of any influencer that you can think of. Let's pick Kardashian, right? Right now they have a multi-billion-dollar empire, but if she says the wrong thing, or if they get pissed off at Kanye or whatever the hell they do,
they can shut them down
overnight.
And they don't own the information. They don't have the email list for those people.
They can't call Facebook and Instagram and say, give me a list.
So what you guys are referring to also is, so content creators, first of all, content creators right now is a $104 billion vertical. So it's a massive influx because a lot of people are realizing they're not sure if they trust college. They're not sure what they consider to be education anymore. And they're literally looking to follow people they respect, people who are successfully navigating chaos, building empires and families. And it's happening all over the place. But if you're going to go build a community, don't build it on land that you don't own. Don't build a house on rented land. So you build your own platform, and as you mentioned, people use the word app. You need your own miniature social network. Ecosystem, right? So you got to have a way to create habits that people can track, a community wall where people can like and cheer each other on, channels to follow, training to go through, communication. That's like 6 apps in one. So you're a community building incredible ecosystem, and that's what you've done. And the reason is because you're trying to make the jump between raising awareness and having a continuity program where people can follow you and stay connected and be cheered on. Because a lot of times when you're going through these moments, as you're referring, certain things you just don't share on social. It's not relevant, right? And especially if you're a major CEO and you're trying to share some difficult wins, the world can turn on you. And not just cancel culture, you can be fired just because they don't want to hear that you're going through those things. So you need a private community where you can share, maybe even be anonymous, but you can get the support you need.
And I get animated when I talk to you about this subject, man, because when I first met you, I was probably a little bit more on the left. I didn't really understand. It's not even about politics to me anymore. It's just about right and wrong.
You were kind of like, I don't really care.
I grew up in California, man. We're literally, we've been indoctrinated into thinking, again, the polarization, left, right, guns, this. And it's not about that. The more, another one of our mentors, Ryan Stewman says all the time, it's like 95% of us all believe the same shit. They're the ones that are dividing us.
Yes.
When I consider from the most right-wing Republican, I consider from the most left-wing, we agree on 95% of the shit. But 90% of the dollars, and I heard this said by Trump's ex-campaign manager, he said live on stage, he said, guys, when I first became his campaign manager, and he's the guy that got him, like Brad Pascal, I believe his name is, he said, guys, 90% of the money, he goes, when I went into Washington for the first time, 90% of the money that goes into the right comes from the far right. 90% comes from the far left here. Where do you think the politicians are going to go? You know what I mean? So that's why we're becoming more polarized, because they're going where the money is. So you got the left wing of the party, the Pocahontases and the Warrens, and then you got the ultra far rights, but unfortunately the politicians got to go there. So segueing off politics,
Yep.
I really want to focus, guys, because a lot of people that listen to this podcast are content creators. They are influencers.
Yeah.
And in a very short explanation, again, with layman's terms, not knowing the tech and not being a big influencer myself, it resonated with me where I'm like, one of my best friends is a world-renowned bodybuilder. He has a 500,000 following plus, right? He doesn't control that data. Now, if he's posting on Facebook...
And they actually shut him down. They shut him.
Let
did.
me make a real good point here, though, for those of you listening. It's not just about controlling data. I want you to take it a step back further. For the first time in your life, when you're on Facebook or Instagram, you are subject to what they're tracking without your permission. When you own your own platform, you get to create the data that matters to you, and your community chooses to share that data with you. And so do not confuse being tracked with permission-based data. Meaning, think of it more like a Nike Fitbit type relationship. If I'm choosing to follow Burton because he's succeeding and he's giving me habits and routines, and I'm choosing to share with him that I'm doing these things, he's not tracking me behind my back. I didn't go to a party and you took 15 data points about me and sold it without me knowing. This is an organic or authentic relationship where people are going, I want him to know that I haven't just read his book, I'm doing what he's talking about. If he knew that, he'd reach out. One of the things you mentioned from our speaking days was we'd do these global tours. And at the end of it, we're going, I wish you could grab my phone and show me everybody in India who read the book that I told them to read. How many people have been accountable? We had no idea. Well, now we finally can. So whether I'm an artist, a musician, going, if I knew who my influencers were, my best fans, I'd reward them. He needs a simple way to figure out who's implementing his book, not just reading it. I need a way for him to see me, because there's nothing that sucks worse than being invisible.
Yeah.
Because I'm out here actually doing it, but he doesn't know that. Now he does. So we're bridging the gap between the diamond in the rough and the champion who's modeling behaviors. And then boom, you're off and running. And now you've changed the gap. Now you've jumped beyond raising awareness. You truly have transformation. And you can prove it.
And I think from a morality and an altruistic, that's brilliant, right? And I'm glad you said that, because I don't want to just come off on the superficial money side of it. But from a money standpoint, right? You got the guy like a Steve who's got 500,000 followers, right? Million followers, whatever it is. They know his demographics. He's a bodybuilder. There's going to be dudes. If Bud Light wants to advertise on Facebook, Facebook will say, okay, well, we're going to put that advertisement right above Steve. Steve doesn't get shit for that. Steve's been giving them data since he started. Yeah, they're spending billions of dollars worth of servers, and they have every picture since birth that you loaded. But there's a reason for that, because they're selling it to Bud Light, right? Now, Bud Light also is getting screwed on this, because think about this. They don't know that they got placed on top of Steve, and they don't know that the money that they're spending. One of the most brilliant things that you've done, and in that same analogy, if we connect Steve with your app, Steve decides, you know what, that fits into my value system. Bud Light comes into here. Bud Light now is knowing that, hey, every time Steve can say, hey, create a QR code, go here, or scan this, they know that their money is spent with that influencer. Yes. That's powerful, man. So you're an advertising agency. You're not an app company.
100%. So as I say, is that it's for the content creators, we give you your own platform, and you get to choose the cloud, the control, choose the data, and then we provide an ad platform to bridge the gap between the diamond and the rough and you and the advertisers. And we basically get out of the people in the middle who've been taking all the money.
That's
so
a mic drop moment right there.
We just flip the model and said, hey, how about the rest of you get out? And let's just let the four of us work together. The problem is it just takes millions of dollars to normally get there, and that's what we've been able to solve. We can pop these things out for people left and right.
So when you say flip the model, right? Facebook is spending billions of dollars to create the infrastructure, but then getting your data for free. You're saying, hey, let me flip it. Let me give you the infrastructure, Mr. Burton, right? And now let you make money from the advertisers that want that data.
So what you've been hitting on a lot is, first of all, the need to truly fulfill on your mission statement, which is what we talked about first, the organic, altruistic. Am I full of it and just selling books, or am I actually caring if I get results? That was step one. What you hit on then is after step one is, can you accelerate my value? It'd be nice if I'm doing the right thing to actually get paid for it. So now you own your content, you own your data, you own your asset. Now you have something that's worth a ton of money. And then on top of that, flipping the model means the ad model. Typically right now, if there's $1 that's spent, 1% to 2% to 5% goes to the advertiser. The middleman, the platform, takes most of it, and the publisher might get 20 to 30%. We're flipping that. We're literally giving 70% to 60 to 70% to the publisher, to the person with the platform, and literally going, we don't need to take that much. Give all the money to the person who's out there developing the fans.
And you're creating the advertising relationship. The advertisers
100%.
are coming to you saying, okay, maybe Bud Light works with him, but not the cheerleader squad, right?
Yeah.
And the girls selling hairspray will work on their platform, but
We've
not
got-
his.
we've
But
got-
the advertiser can target the groups.
We have hundreds of apps and communities that are basically what we call micro tribes.
Verticals.
Yeah, verticals, right? And well, here's a great thing. How many people does he want to cross promote with? 5 other bodybuilders, 2 other different organizations, the Navy SEALs. They love his stuff. So we're basically just bringing it in-house, right? Thank you, big tech, for proving this all works.
Yeah,
now let's
basically.
now
Let's
let's
make
now
it
let's,
better.
now let's bring it in-house.
Yeah.
And you know, we're gonna leave on this because we could literally talk about this for hours, and I'm sure the audience will still stay in, and we will come back and do multiple episodes. But the brilliancy of what you did is you were already doing this 3-4 years ago. You didn't jump on a bandwagon because of politics.
No.
The brilliancy and the alignment in your life had been you saw this, and your team saw this 3 to 4 years ago. You saw the value system shifting. You saw the politics. You started building this ecosystem, and then the president of the United States gets canceled, and you're like, holy shit. You know,
Yeah.
that's my smoke signal of there's a problem. It's not about politics.
Yeah.
But if anybody like that, you know, this, again, I get really passionate about it, man. And I think it's an alignment that you met through a car club, your CTO, you guys get connected, we
Yeah.
come in, and here we are on your book launch day. And I can't be more excited, brother.
So I'll give you a couple other champions that have been leading the way
Please do.
with
Yeah.
with someone like Burton. So now, entrepreneurs are to me the new influencers. So we have people like a Mike Singletary, who's a champion, Hall of Famer. A lot of people know that name. He's not just a great football player in the NFL, but he's been a great human being. People are looking to model his behaviors. Right? He uses our technology to be able to do that. So it could be a Dr. Ben Carson. A lot of people know who that is. You know, to each their own. It
Is
could
he
be-
on the board now as well for Skyline?
Yes, 100%.
Congratulations
And so,
on that.
Thank
That's
you.
brilliant.
Or you
He's a
have, or you
world-renowned
have
surgeon, and then he ended up being the secretary of HUD. I mean, an amazing human.
And now
He's-
he's on our board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or then you have Uriah Faber, Hall of Famer in the UFC. Or you have the most recent guy, Vitor Belfort, who just defeated Holocaust. So you've got all these people that you've got these major champions. You know what they all have in common? And I want to get back to this point. Most of them think social media is a waste of time, and they should. And that's really important here because if it's tracking and rewarding things that actually are creating problems, it's a waste of time. It's to your point. What Burton's done is he said, I'm going to show you some good habits and good routines, and I'm going to give you a social community that's relevant to enforcing those things. You can make money, he can own it, he can be in control. Otherwise, champions are getting off social, and they're looking to get on their own private things.
Sure, and the nice thing about this, just so you guys know that are listening, is this is not a scarcity thing. This is not like I put all my eggs in this one basket. The nice thing about this technology is it can link to everything else.
Yes.
So
100%.
that's, we didn't even really talk about that, but the own ecosystem you can still link it out. It's not like I'm
We're not
walking
trying
away.
to wipe
No.
out Facebook.
No, we're literally just saying, look, we're going to control our own, and it links to everything else. So like, why wouldn't you? Again, it's not. It's and.
So it's
Let's say in addition to, it's not. Well, I'm leaving this, and it's or like that's just again
That's
talking
important.
more about.
Yeah.
For me, this is just another thing that another tool that
Like,
I
why
can
wouldn't
help
I?
the rate.
Why wouldn't I?
So the line we'd like to use is, however you're making it rain, building your current companies or influence, keep it up. Stage, email, text, concerts, whatever you've been blessed with, always make it rain. We're just saying if you're going to make it rain,
Might
get
as
a
well.
bucket
And catch as
own
much
one of
rain.
the buckets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just saying thank you. Don't ever get off social. That's your marketing. Then hey, look, you want to discover Burton? Go be his fan on social media or his book. You can discover him. You want to join his tribe and start to learn? Download his app and his book.
Guys, you know, when I started this idea of the show, this right here was what I had in mind. And I've had some great episodes leading up into this, but I think this one is one of the first ones. You know, I've had doctors by this point, I've had Grammy winners, I've had football players, but those are all entertaining and it's cool to know that, but unless you're in that industry, you can't go implement it. The things we've talked about today, I think literally everybody from every industry should be aware of, but can go home and implement, and you can go do things. And let me tell you how you're going to do that, okay? So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go to your website. And what's that called?
BurtonHughesOfficial.com.
BurtonHughesOfficial.com. What's your Instagram?
At Burton_Hughes_official.
And we may change that soon to make it easier. I'm teasing you. And obviously you're on Facebook as well.
Yeah, Burton Hughes.
HUGHES.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now you go to the website, you download the book, Kindle, paperback, hardcover, whatever, Braille, I don't care. There's also an audio version that's going to drop
in about 2 weeks.
One of my favorite audio narrators, Danny Galvez, good friend of ours. I believe you got him to do it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That's going to be a brilliant listen as well. Now, once you do that, you don't stop there. From the website, you download the app.
Yep.
Once you download the app, you guys can see in real time everything we're talking about. And guys, with all due respect, he was kind of the guinea pig. You know what I mean? You kind of blazed the trail for these other people that we're going to be bringing in, but thank God it's been a home run. And I know it's already been a home run because I've seen it and I'm getting the feedback, and we're only on freaking day one, right?
We hit the ground running. Like there was no missteps. I mean, from the time that we had a concept, that we sat down with the team and then basically built it out. Within 48 hours, we had an app, and then from there it was literally just tweaking it and making it.
Did you say how long?
About 48 hours.
48 hours, you had an app with graphics, functionality, could have been loaded on the app store.
100%, but just like anything, we just go ahead. Sorry.
Well, to your point, and that's because what we do at Skylab is it's 300 interviews and 20 years of experience of people that are into transformation.
Simple, not easy.
Right? Yeah. So we were able to accelerate a new talent that's coming out to the world and going, let us take care of the tech hell. You do good at what you do.
Because the tech side
sucks normally. Let's just get out the door and get you guys rocking. The other thing I'd say is when you download his app, you're going to start seeing evidence in real time with people joining the community, people taking these behaviors, and you might be someone who's needing this stuff. The other person I want you to look at it when you download the app is, do you have a business or a service that fits with what he's doing? Because Burton now owns a mall and he's looking to put other people in the mall to help add services. Because when people go here to make these changes, we want to have all the curated resources there. So you might be listening to this thinking, I've got a resource, I teach digestive gut enzyme, whatever. Burton hits on it, I need to get my course into his platform.
There it is. And so that's a perfect segue into now. If you're listening, you're like, well, shit, I can see how I would want one of these apps, right? What's important is we're not selling apps, right? There's got to be a good fit. If you're just a soccer mom and you want your own app, this is probably not the right fit. But if you're a soccer mom that runs a community of 1,000 soccer moms and you're the soccer mom queen and you've invented your own soccer balls and all that shit, that's where it becomes an opportunity, right? Now, what we've done, and we have a special relationship with Skylab, is all I want you guys to do is just DM me the word Skylab. I will put you in touch with their team. We'll streamline everything and just have a conversation with them. And if it makes the right sense, our goal is to create the ecosystem bigger and bigger and bigger. Because at the end of the day, the more that are empowered with this technology, the more freedom they have, the more they cannot get canceled, and everybody has their own viewpoints. Do you follow what I'm saying?
It's a win-win for everyone.
Dean, if anybody wants to get more information on Skylab before they contact us, what's the best way to get more research on it?
Just go to skylab.world. So not .com, .world, because it sounds more ominous. That's why we chose it. So. Skynet was taken, the Terminator, so we went with World.
Skynet. And when we talk about decentralized and non-cancel culture, right? So one of the biggest issues right now is you're going to invest, whether you're in an influencer or a product, if you're going to go and invest a lot to create a big following on Instagram, but then you're afraid of your political views, or if you post a picture with a gun or make a comment pro or against abortion, you're worried that you're going to get canceled or deplatformed from these systems. This is decentralized. The number one question I get from people in the tech world well, if you host this on the App Store, can't Apple kick you off? I know the answer, but I'd love to hear that from you.
Sure. So typically, Well, first of all, the whole world became woke to this concept, but they now taken it too far, where their fears have gone from 10 to 100. So first of all, just by owning your own platform, 99% of the time you're not getting canceled. When people say they got canceled off a platform because they didn't own it. The only other time was like a Parler that everyone loves to quote was a political app, and it was pretty extreme. Well, then they deplatformed you because of the server. So you have to own a platform and you have to own the server. So we have those options for you. So, but most people won't even need a private server because they're not doing those things. They just need to have their own platform.
And I want to
And it's web-based as well. I think that was where...
Web-based, Android, iOS, and web-based. But to your other point is then will Apple kick you off the store? Well, that had barely even ever happened. And that's not going to be the situations for people that are running businesses.
And even if it did, it's web-based. So you still control
Exactly.
it.
One
And I
other
think
thing that
was-
you want to think about is when you think about canceled, you don't think that banks were canceling. They were closing people's accounts. They were closing social media. So we say like
Spotify,
cancel.
everything.
I'm talking literally across everything. It's not just like, oh, boo-hoo, I lost my Instagram page. And I'm like, no, like, I believe
You're canceled off
I mean,
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
Shopify.
Shopify,
Banks.
Banks,
DoorDash,
you can't
and then
strike.
Chase.
Chase
Bank of
Bank was
America.
canceling people, and
Yeah.
I think some girls like this, like 15-year-old, like rodeo queen, like
Yep.
someone that was, I mean, how harmless. I don't even know what happened, but I mean, pretty much just white.
Her mom and
15 years
dad
old,
made a
I mean,
political opinion on their post,
and they shut the
canceled
whole
her.
thing down. It
Yeah.
I think it's just getting to the point where this is where I'm going to start showing my hand on my politics. But I think it's very unfortunate, and I think this is one of those times where the pendulum has. I think there was good intentions, right? Because there's hate speech, but then there's hated speech. The problem is who's the fact checkers.
Right.
The fact checkers that are coming in and that they're verifying everything. It's through their filter.
Yeah.
So
There's a movie with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith.
Yeah.
This movie's like 15 years old, Enemy of the State. Man, when
Oh,
you
yeah.
watch that movie that was done way back when, everything in that movie is happening today. And there's a line where his wife says, we're being monitored. She goes, well, who's monitoring the monitors? And that's what's happening right now. Who's fact-checking the fact-checkers?
Yeah.
Right?
And in technology, guys, things always, I call it age out. When Facebook first started, it was a place just to go meet girls on college campus.
Yeah,
People
that's how it
forget
started.
that.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And then over time, you ever get that concept? When it gets so big that your parents are even on it, it's probably time to shift gears now. So what's happened is that now social media has just gotten so big, the only way to get bigger is to get smaller. Everyone's going, okay, let's go back to our little tribe that I relate to. Where's my I love surfing app? Where's my I want to build my empire community? And that's what's happening. And the only difference is if you do it on a Facebook group, you're still being controlled by big tech. That's all.
Man, I know we're going to do this many more times because I could talk about this stuff for hours. And this I appreciate you doing this, man, because we just dropped this on you. We showed up with a
literally.
videographer,
Let's roll.
and he was in board shorts and flip-flops. He's like, what the hell are we doing, guys?
I'm still in
So-
board shorts.
and you are building your own empire, man. And thank you for allowing us to be a part of that community. Thank you for allowing us to invest with you, guys. My Instagram is The Insider Investor. Like I said, just DM me the word Skylab. We'll put you in touch with the right
That's
people.
the secret handshake.
That's it. I can't talk investments with you. I can't talk about the app. I will put you in touch directly with them, whether you want to find out about it, invest with it, learn about it. Burton, you know how to get that book. You guys, thank you so much. This was an amazing episode. I love you, brother. I'm so
Appreciate
fucking
it,
proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Congrats.
man.
Yeah, congrats, Bert.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time on The Inside.
The Insider Show.